Hey y'all, it's me Ray Browness and I'm back again with yet another video. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you about a few things that you need to know before you become a flight attendant. Being a flight attendant is an amazing experience. You get to look so cute in uniforms, you get to travel, all those wonderful things, but it is definitely a career that you have to make sacrifices in. So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys a couple things that you need to know before you become a flight attendant. It's not to discourage you or whatever, it's just to let you know in advance what to expect and what you need to be prepared for. I had 5 things, but I got 6. Let's get started. Number 1, do your research. Before you become a flight attendant, you need to do your research thoroughly. And since you're watching this video, you're doing your research. So yes, honey, do your research. And I mean, check pay, okay? Look up pay, look up other YouTubers who work in certain airlines and stuff. And I do know that, like, starting out, if you are not like into flight attendant life like that for real, you know what I'm saying, if you wasn't just trying to be a flight attendant for 10,000 years already, you may not know which airline is which by their uniforms and stuff like that. But either way, as you kind of go through the process of becoming a flight attendant, you'll kind of be able to tell who works where by looking at YouTube videos. And a lot of people don't share, but some people you can kind of figure it out. So if you have a airline in mind that you want to work for, go on that airline's website, read about, like, look up their pay on Google. You can always find it. I mean, well, not always, but you can get a little picture or whatever, and you can see people talking, like, what is it, Glassdoor, talking about their pay and what it was like for them at their company. You can look on the company website and just look up, you know, what's important to them and stuff like that, what you need to do anyway if you want to work for a particular airline. So do your research, look up which bases that these airlines have. What are the bases for junior bases, which is bases that you're likely to get just coming in as a flight attendant. So look that up. There's a group on Facebook that I'm in called Flight Attendant Career Connection, and I will link that below. You can go in there and hit search and type in pay, Spirit, pay, and it's gonna be a lot of information. If you want to learn about working at Spirit, if you want to learn about working at Delta, American, or any other place, Frontier, all these different airlines that they have out there, you can go on this page on Facebook and look it up, and there will be loads and loads of information. I'm telling you, if you want to know what it's like first starting out there, if you want to know what people feel like about it a year later, if you want to know how long training is for that place and if training is paid, you will find out all that information. You're also able to, like, of course, because it's a Facebook group, you can go in there and write your own stuff. But I'm telling you, I recommend that once you get accepted into this group, look around, search first, because there's plenty of information that's already there. I mean, if you write a question or whatever, they're going to answer it again, but look for the information first. Do your research. And when I say do your research, do your own research as well. Don't depend on everybody else to do research for you. Like, I'm constantly asked certain questions. Like, people ask if you have to go to flight attendant training, like if I had to go through another flight attendant training before I could get hired by an airline, as in like pay to go flight attendant school and then apply to be a flight attendant. And that's something that you can Google that. But the answer to that question is no. You do not have to go to a flight attendant school in order to be a flight attendant. I applied to be a flight attendant just as I am. I decided I wanted to be a flight attendant and I just went for it. Okay, I didn't go to any fancy schools. I didn't have any other fancy training. I got hired by an airline and then I went through training. You can go to flight attendant training school, I guess, before you apply to be a flight attendant, but that's not going to get you a job with an airline. So that's that. Like I said, make sure you do your research. That's the biggest one. That's the absolute biggest one. You need to do your research before you become a flight attendant and you get hired and you get into a life that you was not ready for. Okay? I was joking. Thing number 2 that you need to know before you become a flight attendant is that it can be very hard on your finances starting out. A lot of airlines do not have paid training. Okay? A lot of airlines do not have paid training. and some airlines give you stipends like during training. So for me, with my airline gave us a stipend. We had 2 payments within the month we were in training. 2 payments of $500 before taxes. Okay, I don't know about y'all. I don't know what y'all got going on in your lives, but less than $1,000 in a month payment, that can't really do much for me. That can't really do much for my bills. Okay, so yeah, you need to either be prepared to struggle, period. You need to be prepared to struggle. Because I'm at this time I'm struggling, and it can be different based on different airlines. Some airlines, depending on if you mainline or regional or whatever, some airlines maybe you're not struggling starting out. But everybody that I know that is a flight attendant that works with my airline, and I have a friend that works on another airline, it is not boom bam, I started a job, I got money, I'm good to go. It's really not working like that. So I recommend having a few months of bills, money and stuff saved up. So if you're looking for a flight attendant job right now, I recommend that you start saving up. Because for one, becoming a flight attendant, it can be a process. It could take a while. It could take a couple months from the time you apply to the time you get offered a job somewhere. So for me, it took about, it took me a month. I would say it took me a month actually to get an offer, but that's because I was so hell-bent and dedicated, and I wasn't just trying to get on at one airline. I applied to like 10 airlines. I didn't really give a damn as long as somebody hired me. So that yeah, the first few months are the hardest. They say like the first year of being a flight attendant is like the hump that you have to get over. So be prepared to struggle. If you have people that will help you with your finances, that is great, okay? But if you don't, you need to be prepared. You need to start saving money, or you just need to be figuring out how you gonna not spend a certain amount of money and things like that. Make sure you leave your job on good terms as well, because something may happen where you have to return to that job. You may become a flight attendant and figure out like this is not for you, or that is just too much of a strain like on your finances, and you may have to go back to that job. So make sure y'all put your 2 weeks notices in, okay? And most of the time, I'm gonna say you'll have time to put in a 2 weeks notice before you have to go off to training. I think I knew my training date maybe a month or some change before I had to actually, maybe a month, maybe it was a few weeks before I actually had to leave. But I didn't have a job, so I didn't have to put the 2 weeks notice in anywhere. But definitely make sure you leave on good terms in case you have to go back. Save money, and if you have people to help you, you was blessed. So number 3 is you need to know as a flight attendant what you actually get paid for. So I'm gonna tell y'all what I get paid for. And this is how it works for most flight attendants anyway. I seen on Twitter yesterday, people were sending me this thing, like asking me if the article was true, and it said that flight attendants do not get paid for boarding and deplaning and all that type of stuff like that. We only get paid when the door's shut and like we're on a flight, the duration of the flight, and then when the door opens again, we stop getting paid. And y'all, that is very much true, okay? There are people that are trying to get that changed, but you really get paid for just when the door is closed. And then, so we don't get paid when we're getting to the airport, which I have to report to the airport an hour before my flight, before boarding starts on my flight. And then I have to make sure I'm at my gate 45 minutes before. So I'm not getting paid for any of that. I'm not getting paid for the 30-something minutes where we're boarding people, helping people put, you know, their bags up and stuff like that. We don't get paid for that, you know. So you need to know what you're getting paid for. Hopefully, I don't know, people making a riot about it on Twitter. It may change soon. Who knows? So the 4th thing that you need to know about becoming a flight attendant is that you must be a finesser, okay? Multiple streams of income is ideal. Between me and my roommate, I have a job, and my roommate has a job too. She's a waitress as well. I work at Hooters because starting out, we are on what is called reserve. Now, most airlines work like this. And I think there's one airline that I know of that when you start, you will have a line. So you're not on call. Reserve means that you're on call. The way my airline does it is we are on call. We get a schedule. We are on call for 20 days out of the month. We are on call for 14-hour shifts. I'm on call. The shift that I'm on is from 04, which is 4 in the morning, to 6 o'clock p.m. Meaning from 4 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock p.m. they can call me and be like, hey, we need you on a flight or whatever. If I'm at home and they call me, I have 2 hours to report to the airport. And like I said, yeah, those are 14-hour days, and we're scheduled, when that schedule comes out, for 20 of those days. So let me tell you how many hours you're working or not working, but you can get called, so you can't really go and just go out and do whatever you want. Even though some people do, you take that risk. But that is 280 hours, yeah, that I work a month, that I'm on call a month, but you get paid for 75 hours. I'm running back for you. 20 days a month, I am scheduled to be on call for 14 hours. Those 14 hours for me are between 4 a.m. and 6 p.m. I can be called at any time between 4 a.m. and 6 p.m. They could call me at 6 p.m. and say, we need you on a flight, or we're going to send you on a trip for the next couple of days that you're on reserve. I have 280 hours a month of being on call, which I can also be on call at the airport. They have something called Ready Reserve, where you go and sit at the airport and you're on call. 280 hours, but I get paid for 75 of them. Now, that sounds crazy, but like I said, you have to be a finesser. I don't think my roommate drops her days. I think my roommate does all 20 of her reserve days, right? So she just works at her other job on the days that she's off, right? Me, I can't sit on reserve for all them hours, all those days. So I drop a certain amount of days so that I can go work more at my other job as well. However, all airlines don't have it where people that are on reserve can drop as many days as they want to. My friend, I'm not gonna talk about what airline she works at, but my friend works at another airline than me, and she told me that when they're on reserve, they can only drop 2 days max a month. We can drop as many as we want as long as they're available to be dropped. And sometimes they're not available to be dropped because they need a certain amount of people on reserve, if that makes sense. So you may not even be able to go in and drop that day. So like I say, it's just something that you have to know how to finesse and make it work for you. And that's what me that's what me and everybody else I graduated with, we have a group chat, and we just be talking about how we figure stuff out and, you know, going from there. Okay, the next thing that you need to know before you become a flight attendant, which I forgot, this is supposed to be the first thing I told y'all, is that you may have to move. You may have to move from the state that you live in if your airline does not have a base near you. There is a such thing as commuting, which a lot of people that were in my class, they commute from wherever they live at to Atlanta, which means you have to like fly into Atlanta to work or whatever. And it's very hard starting out. It's very hard because, like I say, you on call 20 random days, and if you work in the call shift that I'm working, you on call from 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you have to be here about 4 a.m. in Atlanta at the airport or whatever, and then you leave after 6. So a lot of people, they have something that we call a crash pad in the airline world, and it's pretty much like somewhere you pay a little rent to when you live somewhere else, but you're based, like, so if you're like based in Atlanta, you'll have a little crib that you can come to when you have to work or whatever. So that's an option. But the easiest thing, which I ain't gonna say is the easiest because it just depends on your situation, is like to move. Now, if you're becoming a flight attendant and you don't have any kids and you're not married, I would recommend picking up and moving, because you're young and there's so much to see out here. You want to be a flight attendant, you want to see the world. So why do you feel like you have to stay in your hometown? For me, getting based in Atlanta was like a miracle, because a lot of airlines, they don't have a junior base in Atlanta. Like, you're gonna have to work somewhere for a couple of years before you get to be based in Atlanta. I was blessed, okay? But there are bases for different airlines all over the place. And you may live on the East Coast, and their junior base that they assign you to is all the way on the West Coast. And I do also know that a lot of airlines, you won't even know where you're getting based until after you graduate flight attendant training. And it's based off like the need of the company. And you may get a choice as far as like where you would prefer to go, and it's like based off your seniority or how good your grades were in training and stuff like that. Well, my airline, when they emailed me about an interview, they said we're hiring for Atlanta, Georgia based flight attendants. That was a blessing, and that's where I wanted to go. So I had no problem with moving to Atlanta. But I will also say, with moving and stuff, it hasn't been easy either. And being a flight attendant, and as far as the pay and trying to keep up with bills and stuff like that, it has not been easy. It really has. It really has not. I'm glad that I was able to move, and I'm glad that I was able to get this job to become a flight attendant. But it's really not the easiest experience to have. But yeah, there is a possibility that you may have to move. So I feel like you should be open to that, especially after doing your research and you're applying to certain airlines and you seeing that they don't have any bases that are near you. You know what I'm saying? Like Atlanta, I could have stayed in Richmond and be based in Atlanta, because it's easy to fly to Atlanta. Or living in Atlanta, you could be based in somewhere else and it's easy to get to, because Atlanta does a lot of flying. You know, you have a way to get to work. It's easy to commute from Atlanta. So yeah, keep that in mind that you may have to move, okay? The next thing is that nobody is a flight attendant for the money, okay? I'm not gonna say nobody. Most people who are flight attendants are not flight attendants for the money. A lot of people are flight attendants for the benefits. You know, we get to fly for free, health insurance, those type of things like that. It's considered full-time with my airline. I'm considered a full-time employee as long as I work 6 days a month. Still get all my benefits, get my flight benefits, get my health insurance, dental insurance, all those things. People are here for the benefits, like the flying and stuff like that. And they are great benefits, but you have to get over that hump. And they say the first year is like the hardest. And it may not even just be money. It could be as far as like commuting, or, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, you not being able to live the type of lifestyle that you wanted, that you already were living. Or you not being able to get up and just go as you please because you're on reserve. You know what I'm saying? You just have to get over those humps. The last thing that I feel like you need to know before you become a flight attendant is that you are going to miss out on some things, especially starting out. I missed Christmas. I missed Thanksgiving, which those things didn't really bother me because I was in the military. I was in the Army for 8 years, so I've missed Christmases, birthdays, and things like that. It don't really matter to me. But being a flight attendant, and especially first starting out, people are gonna have birthday celebrations and want to do this, that, and the third, and you're not always gonna be able to do that. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Being a flight attendant, y'all, is a really good career to have. It's like an honor to be able to become a flight attendant. There are so many people that want to be flight attendants, that apply to be flight attendants. Some people spend years trying to become a flight attendant and they never get the opportunity to, unfortunately. But you know, to become a flight attendant, you know, it's a great thing and you should be honored. And if it's something that you want to do, you should definitely go for it. Just understand that it's not all glitz and glam. I hope that this video don't sound like I'm trying to make it sound like being a flight attendant is awful, because it's not. You know, I like to fly. I like to be on planes. I like, you know, staying in these cute little hotel rooms. I like that I can get up and fly like I want to and stuff like that. But it's definitely a lifestyle change. It's a life change, a big life change, and you just have to be prepared. And I just want to let y'all know from the beginning what is what, so y'all can't come on and be like, oh, Ray Brown, you just was on here acting like it was just a lovely time. Why you ain't tell me about X, Y, and Z? I done told you. I done told you. Now it's up to you what you want to do with that information. Okay? So yeah, with that being said, that wraps up the things I feel like you should know before you become a flight attendant. And if you have any questions about being a flight attendant, make sure that you leave them in the comments, or you can send them to me on Instagram or whatever, and I'm going to do a flight attendant Q&A, and I'm going to answer all of y'all questions, anything, everything that you want to know, anything you want to know about being a flight attendant, anything, leave it down below, and I'm going to make a Q&A, and it's going to be posted on my YouTube channel. And let y'all know when I post it. Make sure you are subscribed with those notifications on so that you don't miss out when I do post it. And yeah, thank y'all so much for watching my video. I'll catch y'all in my next video. Bye.